Today we're talking about building friendships and connection, and we're having a Q&A with best buddies. We have Jocelyn and Holland here, and we also have a bit of a pre-recorded video from SLU. So we're really in for a treat. I will go ahead and turn it over to Jocelyn first to talk about best buddies in Missouri, and then we'll go over some local chapters.
We're super excited to be here with you and share a little bit about our Best Buddies programs here in the state of Missouri and beyond. My name is Jocelyn. I have the pleasure of managing all of our friendship programs across the state of Missouri. We'll talk a little bit about our friendship programs here in just a little bit. But I'm an OT by trade. I truly love working with all of our participants, our student leaders, our faculty advisors in our schools, and really just love the friendship program. So I'm super excited to share a little bit more with you. Okay, so Best Buddies is actually an international organization. We're not just here in Missouri. We were started 35 years ago by our CEO, who was our founder 35 years ago. He was a Georgetown law student and decided that he wanted to take some of his friends at Georgetown and go out into the community and provide some social opportunities for individuals of all abilities. So therefore, Best Buddies was born. His mom, Eunice Kennedy, actually founded Special Olympics, and his dad founded the Peace Corps. But Eunice had a sister, Rosemary Kennedy, with a developmental disability. And so that is why Special Olympics and Best Buddies exist. So pretty cool. So fast forward 35 years from that one Georgetown chapter. Now we're in 46 countries all around the world. And we're in every state. We may not have a state office in every state. State offices are established as funding is secured in that state. But if we don't have a state office, then we have an expansion team that's managing our programs there. So this is our general mission. So Best Buddies is more than just friendship. So friendship is actually just one of the pillars of programs that we have internationally. Not every state has every pillar of programs, but every pillar does exist throughout Best Buddies. So really, the really cool thing about Best Buddies is we're dedicated to establishing a global volunteer movement. So in all of our friendship chapters, whether it's students, participants, leaders, everyone is a volunteer, which is super cool because everyone's wanting this friendship and inclusion to happen in their community. So we create one-on-one friendships in our friendship programs. We also have integrated employment, leadership development, some really cool inclusive living opportunities, family support, and like I said, we don't have all those programs here in Missouri, but we really are going to focus on our friendship programs today. And Best Buddies serves individuals of all abilities. So we like to make sure that everyone knows we're an inclusive organization, and we're not limited to any sort of disability or ability. So you can see some of our pillars below. This is just about Missouri. So here in Missouri, we have been around for the past 10 years. We've had a state office. We're celebrating our 10th year this year, which is really exciting. And we have certainly grown in our friendship programs. So we currently have 72 friendship programs. We're going to share a little bit more about those and how they break down here in a second. Those do include 2 adult programs, one in St. Louis, one in Kansas City. A majority of our friendship programs are school-based, elementary, middle school, high school, and college. So we're really going to highlight our college programs today and our adult friendship programs today too. We also have a really cool program internationally called eBuddies, and that is not run by Missouri. That's actually run by Best Buddies International, but it's for anyone 13 and over that wants to participate. We're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a second, but I wanted to highlight that program too. We do have an integrated employment program that just started here in Missouri. And then we also have some really cool leadership development opportunities for individuals of all abilities. Unfortunately, we don't have inclusive living yet. And then we do have family support virtually. So we don't have an in-person family support program, but we do have the ability to provide that virtually through family mentors who we can connect families with all over the United States. So really cool. So here in Missouri, as I mentioned, we have 72 friendship programs. This is kind of our breakdown. So a lot of our friendship programs are within schools, so within school walls. So a majority of these are in the St. Louis, St. Charles County area. We do have some programs in the Kansas City area, mid-Missouri, and then we manage SEMO too. So we're going to highlight our college chapters actually today. We're super excited to have Holland here with us from our Washington University chapter. And then you'll hear from Annadel from our SLU chapter as well. But we also manage 5 other college chapters, including Mizzou, SEMO, Lindenwood in St. Charles, Maryville locally, and then we actually manage KU too in the Kansas City area. Kansas is one of those states that doesn't have a state office yet, so we kind of help manage some of those Kansas City area chapters. So I wanted to kind of share with you the difference between our college chapters and our adult friendship chapters, because there is a little bit of a difference. So our college chapters, so we're really in Best Buddies, we are all about matching peer to peer. So a lot of people will ask us, is it like big brothers, big sisters? And not really. That's more of a mentorship, and this is more of a unique friendship. So we're really looking for that peer age to connect. So we're hoping in our college chapters, participants should be young adults. We don't cap it at 25, but that's just kind of an age range. And then all of our college chapters are paired with a community partner, so a community organization that they're matched with. They may have a couple community organizations with whom they work. I know Washington University has really expanded their reach in community organizations this year. And then as far as like being a member of that chapter, so all of our students and participants do complete a membership application at the beginning of the school year. And that's for a couple different reasons. It allows for, making sure that folks want photo video release. It also helps to cover under Best Buddies liability insurance. And it allows us to understand like who is participating in each of those chapters. Our college chapters they plan awesome events. Sometimes it's monthly, sometimes it's a little bit more. It just kind of depends on the chapter. And then those events could be on campus, they could be off campus, they could be collaborative with a community partner. It's kind of up to that chapter on how they want to work their events. We do find that transportation can be sometimes a challenge for some of our college students, not having cars. And I know that transportation can also be a challenge for some of our participants as well. So we try and accommodate everyone as much as we can. Additionally, so leaders would match interested members in a one-to-one friendship for the school year. So on that membership application that we ask all of our students and participants to complete, there is a box that you can check that says, yes, I'm interested in being in a one-to-one friendship this school year. And then our student leaders will work to send out some surveys, do interviews to kind of figure out like who would be a really good match. So we want to kind of match folks with, like similar interests, just kind of like how you would generally, match with a new friend. So once those matches take place, so generally it's around November by the time all of our membership applications are completed. So we know who is interested in that one-to-one match. Those matches are made. And then those matches can then hang out together. So whether that's going to the movies, maybe it's playing video games, maybe it's going to Taco Bell. I mean, whatever is fun and interesting to those friends, they will hang out monthly. It might be more than that. And then communicate with however y'all, decide that is a great way for you to communicate together. Just wanted to remind you of the transportation piece. The students are not required to have transportation or provide transportation, but that's something that, is kind of worked out, and also something that's kept in mind when those matches are being made geographically, just to make sure that that doesn't become, a challenge to the friendship. And then our adult chapter. So like I mentioned, we have a St. Louis adult friendship chapter, and we have a Kansas City friendship chapter. These chapters are for anyone 18 and over. There's no max age to participate. The difference, though, is that we do ask all participants in our adult friendship chapters to complete a background check. So because we're drawing from everyone in the community, they don't have to be a part of an organization or a community-based organization. We want to make sure everyone's safe. So we ask that they complete a membership application, just like our college programs, and then also go through a screening with one of our staff members and complete a background check. And I think those are good for 2 years. We have volunteer leads who plan those fun hangouts. I will say, for the St. Louis area, they are really consistent on planning their monthly events, and they plan a bunch of fun things. They just went to Pieces. They go to the Brewery Lights. They'll do the Boathouse. They try and kind of change up the locations too, so county to city, and then also kind of the day and time, so that it's a good fit for everyone, or at least you can find one that may be close or interesting to you. I will say that a big difference between our adult friendship chapter and our college chapter is we don't have as many volunteers in our adult friendship chapter as we do in our college chapter. So we don't have the capacity to do the one-to-one matching as much as we do in our college chapters. And that kind of fluctuates depending on, who's attending. So we're really trying to work on increasing our numbers in our adult chapters so that we can do more of those one-to-one matches. Again, it's similar if you're in a one-to-one match in our citizens chapter, similar to our college chapter. We're just asking all of our matches to hang out monthly, communicate, and really just have fun together. Again, like the transportation, is something that we want to work out between our buddy pairs so that everyone has the ability to meet up and do the fun things that they want to do. So types of chapter events, you're going to hear from SLU and WashU of some of the things that they've done throughout this year and over the years. But again, it's just fun stuff. And it kind of depends on, of course, seasonal. There's all kinds of different things that happen per season. We have some groups that'll do more service-based things. We have a lot of it's focused around food and eating together and hanging out, which is great. But I'll let them kind of give you some specific activities that they've done, so you have an idea of that. All right, so eBuddies, I mentioned it just real quick at the very beginning. So eBuddies is for anyone 13 and over. Those are consistent virtual events organized by our Best Buddies staff, not our Missouri staff, our Best Buddies International staff. Again, all individuals are screened, and I believe if they're over 18, they are required to have a background check as well. And that program works very similarly. So anyone interested is matched in a one-to-one friendship. They try and keep in mind, because this is a very large age span. Again, we want that like peer-to-peer relationship. So they really try and match by age, any gender preference, interest, geographic areas. So I put the website on there, and you can be involved in both eBuddies and an in-person Best Buddies chapter. I think Washington University and SLU are also going to give you specific contact information to reach out to their chapters. Just keep in mind, because they're students, they're a lot of times are not around during the summer, and maybe at internships or other things not in the area. So they're really great about like checking emails and things like that, but just keep that in mind that it is the summer for students. And then also if you're interested in getting more information on Citizens, I can help you with that. So there's my email address. I know that this is going to be kind of sent out to you all, so you all have all the contact information. We're very active on our social media, so if you want to check us out on our socials, that's great. Bestbuddies.org, which is the international program, they have their own website, and then bestbuddies.org/Missouri, that's our state website. So
Really quick, we do have a couple of questions.
yeah.
These might be questions that Holland can answer or Jocelyn, if either of you wants to. So someone asked, this is kind of a general question, with multiple chapters in the St. Louis metro area, how do you choose which university or which program to contact?
That's a great question. Sometimes it might be what chapter is geographically closer for you. I mentioned Maryville and Lindenwood. So, those are more county, St. Charles area chapters. SLU and WashU are both in the city. Actually, all of our college chapters are unique, but they're all doing amazing. So I can't tell you that one's better than the other because they're all awesome. But maybe it's, when they're meeting, maybe it's more convenient for you, when WashU is meeting versus SLU. So yeah, it's kind of just personal preference. I will say that, like I mentioned, that all of our college chapters are kind of paired up with community organizations. Because you all have a very large community, we're able to, match you with multiple college chapters, which is really great. So you can feel free to reach out to us. We can kind of give you some ideas, which, might match better in your schedule or geographic area.
And someone else wanted to know if you're nowhere near a collegiate or citizen chapter, what would you do?
In Missouri, I would say if you're local to Missouri, but you're not near a college chapter, I would go the eBuddies route if that interests you at all. But that's just a really great option if transportation is a challenge, or if you're not anywhere near any of our geographical chapters. If you're beyond Missouri, and I failed to mention this, but like I said, we have chapters across the United States. So perhaps you live in a different state, and you're watching this from a different state. I definitely go to that website, bestbuddies.org. You can click on your state and find chapters that are close to you.
And are most activities in person unless they are with eBuddies? So like everything else is in person. Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for clarifying that. And yeah, thank you, Jocelyn, for starting us off. We'll move on to Holland to talk specifically about the Washington University chapter.
Hi guys, so I'm Holland, and like Jocelyn and Hannah mentioned, I've had the pleasure of serving as the chapter president of the WashU chapter. I'm a second year law student, and I really love the work we're doing here, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So, who are we? We are student-led. Like you see me here, I'm a student. Most of our exec board are students, and some are undergraduate, some are graduate. I'm one of the graduate students. We pair with anybody over 18. I know Jocelyn mentioned that the typical age range was 18 to 25, which that can be helpful for the peer one-to-one pairing, but it's not necessarily required that you need to be 25. That's not a hard cutoff. So we just ask that you're over 20 or 18. And we put friendship first. So we're looking to create one-to-one friendship pairs. And if you don't think a one-to-one friendship pair is available to you, or not available to you, but something you want to do, you can still just come and hang out and make friends with all the members that are involved already. And then lastly, we're always going to be advocates for you. These are people that are warm-hearted individuals that really just want to help you out and be your best buddy. How the program works. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, and Jocelyn has gone into this in detail. The participants are matched in a one-to-one buddy pairing based on their shared interests and preferences, and you can spend time together regularly. You communicate throughout the week and attend group events together. All matches are supported by me and our other team, and we check in with you frequently, make sure everything's going well. And also, I and the rest of the exec board are available to you as buddies to hang out with. So our past events, we have done some events in the community with Pathways and YMCA Special Olympics. We just recently had kickball with Pathways, and it was really fun. We did craft night recently with YMCA, and then we had a Polar Express train ride, which was really, really fun. All of the St. Louis chapters, including the high school chapters and the citizen chapter, all got together and we all rode the Polar Express. And it was a really great time. We've also done painting. We took a trip to Art and Bloom at the St. Louis Art Museum, and that was a really great trip. And then we also have had game nights. And we're looking to do more fun events like laser tag and pumpkin painting again in the fall. So here are some pictures from our recent events. The ones at down here, these are some of our buddy pairs, our one-to-one pairs. Here are some pictures from pumpkin painting. Here's Rudy. He is our chapter representative. And then we also have some pictures from kickball. But as you can see, we do all sorts of events, and we just like to have a lot of fun. You can really do whatever you want with your buddy. I know that Mike, he's right here, he's just went to get lunch and coffee with one of his buddies, and they had a really good time. So you can really do whatever you want. The world is your oyster. We prioritize safety, consistency, and communication. We make sure that all the pairings are going to be good together. We do regular check-ins, like I mentioned. We have expectations for our student buddies, and we offer ongoing guidance and support throughout the semester. We don't just try to create friendships, we want to help create friendships that thrive and last. If you're interested in applying, all of this will be sent out as well afterwards, but here is the application QR code right here. And then after that, if you're interested in getting a one-to-one buddy pair, but again, if that's not something that you're interested in, that's okay. We still would love for you to join and hang out with us. But if you are interested in a buddy pair, this right here would be where you fill out. But you first would have to apply before you're able to fill out the one-to-one buddy pairing survey. And then up here is our email. Again, we also have an Instagram, which I didn't write it out, but I think it's either Wash You Best Buddies or Best Buddies Wash You. One or the other. If you type in one of those, you will find us.
Really quick before we go to SLU, we had a couple more questions in the chat, so I just want to get those answered as we have time. So someone, and either of you can answer this, someone asked, what happens when your college buddy graduates? Can you stay in touch? Do people usually stay in touch?
Yeah.
A follow-up to that is, do people come back to the program still, but not with the same buddy ever?
Yeah, so I know for a few of our buddies that when they graduate, they stay in touch, but then they're not in the community anymore. So we try and pair them up with somebody else that's in the community and around so they have somebody still to hang out with. But then that means you have two buddies now, which is even better. You have somebody out and wherever they are that if you're ever on vacation over there, you can hang out with them, and then you have somebody here at home in the area to hang out with. And we always try to pair our buddies with freshmen too, so that they have the longest amount of time with them. And also, a bunch of our students end up staying in the community as well, and they can be lifelong pairs. So.
I love that so much.
I want to add to that real quick. We have a great story of a Maryville buddy pair who the young man graduated, was engaged, got married in New Zealand, and his buddy ended up being the best man in his wedding. So flew to New Zealand to be the best man in his wedding, which is really awesome. I wish I had a picture to share with you at the moment. But Holland said that beautifully. It is a little bit hard sometimes because, these students, may not be around during the summer. They may have internships or jobs or go back home. And then also they do graduate. So I love how Holland phrased that. That means you just have extra buddies and you're just growing all those friends. So, but that is a really great question. And sometimes we rematch throughout the years too. So like if maybe a student starts and then for some reason can't come back to that school or whatever. So I think Holland does a great job. All of our student leaders do a really great job of ensuring that, everything's going well, and communication is a big factor in that. So.
Okay, one last question before we move on to SLU. Someone asked if you have many participants either in the citizen group or the college groups that use wheelchairs and how you navigate that.
So I know we don't have many participants in wheelchairs. I know that we always try when we're booking events, we always try to make sure a room is accessible, close to a parking garage. There's no steps. So we do make sure that there are no accessibility issues, and if there are ever any, just let us know and we can accommodate you in whatever way.
Yeah, great answer. So yeah, for sure. We do have participants of all abilities, all mobility, differences. So please don't let that be a barrier for you to participate in Best Buddies, because I think our students also do a really great job, like Colin said, of really thinking through the accessibility. And every chapter is different, right? So just because, maybe WashU doesn't have any participants currently in a wheelchair doesn't mean that they won't. And it doesn't mean that they're not they don't have participants in wheelchairs in other chapters too. So we want everyone to be able to participate.
All right, so we'll move on to our SLU video and we'll all watch that together.
Hi, my name is Annabelle. I am a senior at St. Louis University studying occupational therapy, and I am the president of SLU Best Buddies this year. And I am so excited to share a little bit more about what our chapter does. I think Jocelyn is here, who's an awesome representative of Best Buddies International, and I'm sure has given you some lovely insight. But I'd love to share some real world experiences of what our chapter looks like and how our participants feel about it. Threw together a quick slideshow to talk a little bit more about SLU Best Buddies. As you may know, Best Buddies International is dedicated to ending the social, physical, and economic isolation of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So our chapter here at SLU is primarily a social chapter. However, Best Buddies International has a couple pillars of ways that they carry out this mission. So I know they focus on integrated employment, independent living, family supports, leadership development, and then also friendship or social inclusion. And so since our chapter is a social inclusion chapter, that is what we primarily focus on. We do this by facilitating friendship pairings between adults, community members who are college aged with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and SLU students who are in their undergraduate years at St. Louis. And these friendship pairings work together to develop a really equitable and inclusive community. We have a variety of events that we host every month, and it's a really important and special community that I feel very lucky to be a part of. So I'd love to share a little bit more about how our chapter functions. Here are some highlights from our events. I think most of these photos are from last semester and this semester, but just to kind of give you an idea of what type of events SLU holds. This upper left picture here with the big group is one of our favorite events. We try to have one of these every semester. Since we're located in Midtown as a campus, we try to have a couple events that are close by. This one is at the Foundry, the City Foundry St. Louis in the food hall. We try to have one community dinner per month. And it's awesome because since it's a food hall, everybody can get food that meets their dietary needs and preferences. And then we snag a couple tables and hang out and we talk. Sometimes we find ourselves there on a trivia night or with live music, hang out, grab good food, enjoy community and each other's company. And it's awesome. We had a great turnout. This was from 2 or 3 weeks ago. Down here is another picture from a Foundry Food Hall event. There's lots of bopping around, talking to new people. At the bottom here in front of this banner is at our annual Friendsgiving celebration. So we try to have a potluck. This one is on campus at SLU. we try to make sure that since a lot of SLU students don't have cars, that we either have carpools available for community-based outings or events are held on campus to ensure accessibility. This is one that's held in our Center for Global Citizenship, which is like a large auditorium space we really enjoy gathering in. Same with this other picture in the bottom with the balloon arch. This is from our Buddy Ball, which is a celebration of our really inclusive community and all the awesome friendships that have been made throughout the year. Karaoke, dancing, good food, all kinds of fun things. The top middle is from a new event we had this year. We really value ensuring that our events are age appropriate, things that college students would enjoy doing, and that they're appropriate and accessible to all participants. So this is an event we held at Pieces St. Louis, which is a board game bar in Soulard, and it was so much fun. Tuesdays are free gaming, and so we went, snagged a couple tables, and everybody can pick from their collection of like thousands of board games and card games, hung out with friends, grabbed whoever was near them, joined all kinds of crazy games. I think Cards Against Humanity was played at one point. There was Jenga, there were crazy intense card games happening. People ordered food and drinks. It was awesome. A really fun community event. The top right, we also try to go to some SLU sporting events. So this was from a basketball game, which has been tons of fun this year because the Billikens are really a joy to follow this year. So this was a cool like buzzer beater during the regular season. We try to make sure that we acquire comped tickets for Best Buddies at least once a year. So we had comped soccer game tickets and comped basketball game tickets. And even if you're not a sports fan, this is a super fun one to go and enjoy music and lots of people watching and um, be in community with our fellow Best Buddies participants, which was awesome. This picture with the lights is clearly Maddie and Andrew are quite the duo. But this is from the Zoo Lights, like the Winter Lights night. If we have a community-based event that offers a sensory-friendly night, we often take that opportunity. At the St. Louis Zoo, sensory-friendly nights mean fewer tickets are sold, there's no music playing, and staff is available on property to assist with any sensory-based needs and accommodations, which is awesome. We've had really positive experiences with those outings. But that's just one way that we try to ensure accessibility and appropriateness of events that are community-based. The Winter Lights has become a bit of a yearly event, and then we're also trying the Animals Aglow. I believe that event is in April, so we will be attending Sensory Night as a group on that night too. And we have also worked to collaborate with the St. Louis Zoo to have a guide with us who will provide a certified and audio description for anyone who is blind or visually impaired, because we have a few participants who will utilize that resource this year, which is awesome. And then, yeah, some of our other events that we're really excited about this year, we try to mix up our programming to make sure events are fresh, especially for long-term participants. We have a cooking class coming up at Fennel Cooking Studio, where anyone who signed up is able to learn how to we're doing tacos, so we're going to learn how to make our own tortillas. We've got a variety of fillings and dips and all kinds of fun things, and we'll go through the cooking class, then we'll share a meal together at the end. But anything that just promotes, participation and friendship and inclusion is all that we're about. So just a little bit more about how this works. You can sign up to be paired in a one-to-one friendship match, which is between one community member with IDD and one SLU student. And those friendship matches are formed based on a Google form that gets submitted at the beginning of every school year based on interest, availability, and accessibility needs. And so we try to be really intentional about our pairings to make sure that our friendships have things in common so that there could be fun activities to do together or topics of conversation, and that we're really intentional about our matching process. However, you don't have to be in a one-to-one friendship match. It's just a really great way to ensure that you've got a buddy at every event and everybody has somebody to lean on, which is awesome. You can also just be a general group member and attend events as able. Either option, everyone is always welcome to any event, regardless of membership status. We also try to host around 2 community outings per month or events, just like SLU Best Buddies events. Sometimes those are held on campus, sometimes off campus. Accessibility and transportation we try to meet those needs as much as we are able, whether through carpools or rideshares or anything like that. And we, again, as I like to emphasize, we try to ensure that our events are planned to be accessible, age appropriate, and new whenever possible. And our executive team works really hard to ensure that that happens. So we've got the rest of the semester programmed out. We try to send out around 2 months of events at a time to make sure those dates get down on the calendar. We try to mix up days so that if there's any events that are repetitive in anyone's schedule, even if they have to miss one event, maybe they could make a different day in the future. So we try to mix up our programming too. try to accommodate as many schedules as possible. We also, just some stats about our chapter in particular. Right now, we have 25 active matches, which means 50 participants are in a one-to-one friendship pairing as we speak, which is a number we're really proud of. However, we have 82 total participants on our roster. So around 32 members are unmatched, but still attend events whenever able. And we have so much fun. And people may choose to not be in a friendship pairing for a variety of reasons. But again, they're always welcome at all of our events. And we have a lot of large groups who will be in one-to-one friendship pairings, but invite unmatched participants to come join them, hanging out with whomever, whenever. And it's so fun to see those friendships develop across the school year. And then we try to host around 2 events per month. However, of course, that varies a little bit with changes in SLU's school schedule. So like the month of December when people are home for break, as well as August and May when the month is kind of split in half with when school is in session and when it ends. There's some variance there, but we try to make up for it whenever able. And again, members are encouraged to hang out outside of SLU Best Buddies sanctioned events, and often do, which is the best. But we try to make sure that our events are available to facilitate that interaction whenever possible. Our community is really special. It's something that our entire team is really proud of, and proud to participate in. And we would love to have anybody at any time. We're really proud of our partnership with organizations like the ARC. We appreciate you guys taking the time to share more about what SLU does as a chapter and how you can get involved. So this is the best way to reach us. Our email is bestbuddies@slu.edu. Feel free to reach out with your contact information if you're interested in being added to our mailing list. Our mailing list is where you'll get the most details about all our events and future events, as well as just various check-ins and other forms that our club sends out to make sure that participant input and feedback is received throughout the entire school year. We also have an Instagram that we keep very active if you're interested in seeing a few more examples of events. We have some features of buddy pairings as well. If you're interested in learning more about what the member experience is like, feel free to check out our Instagram page. And then here is a QR code that you should be able to scan to join our GroupMe. We try to be really communicative, so all info about events comes out in all 3 of these platforms. If you interact with any of them, you should be able to see what's new with SLU Best Buddies. But yeah, thank you for your time. I appreciate you taking a moment to learn more about SLU Best Buddies. We'd love to have you. You're welcome at any time. Feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns. Thank you. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there in person today.
Awesome. Well, Annabelle did a great job, and it was really cool to hear about their chapter at SLU as well. I don't have any questions in the Q&A, but some of our self-advocates did come up with a few questions they had. So I could kind of go through those if you two wouldn't mind answering a few other questions. Some folks were wondering, kind of a 2-part question. Is there a best time of year to sign up? Like, does it go a year at a time? Would you sign up in the summer or right in the fall as the beginning of the school year starts? And then is there ever a wait to find out if you are in? Like, is there a wait list, or what does that look like for signing up?
More great questions. Thank you. So for our school chapters, you're going to look to sign up for those chapters kind of in August when the students are returning and the chapters are, they're getting new students coming in, and, students have graduated. So they're kind of figuring out who's going to be in their chapter. So that's a really great time to reach out and ask questions. I would say, Holland, you can help me with this, but later August, September, some of our Missouri colleges now don't come back until the end of August. So that's a great time. As far as our citizens chapters, that is open any time of the year. So you can feel free to email me and then I'll kind of get you started on that. But yep, any time of the year. I think they're a little bit lighter on events in the summer, but they should still have some things going on.
That there's no wait list. You'll be you're immediately in it as soon as you apply. Obviously you'll get like the confirmation email. There's no wait, but then there is the wait for the buddy pair because we just have to match you afterwards, but there's no wait.
Cool. Very exciting. Yeah, thank you for answering that. Another question is, I am assuming based on the information you've given, it's free to participate. It doesn't cost money to participate, but do participants bring money? Like if it's a ticketed event or something like that, would they just pay for just the ticket or the meal or whatever it is?
Yes, exactly. So whatever the event is, I mean, a lot of our on-campus events are free that the students organize, but if it's like, the wild lights, like Annabelle was talking about. There's a ticket charge for that. I know, like she said, they try and get tickets comped for different events if possible. Polar Express, which Holland referred to, those were all donated. We had 250 tickets donated to Best Buddies, so
Oh,
those were all free to utilize. So it just kind of depends, but yep, it's free to be a part of. I did want to mention one thing I forgot to share. We do want, as far as our friendship chapters, you would be part of one of those chapters. So I know it's tempting to want to go to SLU and WashU and be friends with everyone. But we do want to try and keep our chapters kind of manageable. So we want to make sure that everyone's just a part of one of those friendship chapters, but you can be part of eBuddies and also be a part of an in-person friendship chapter too.
and again, just to reiterate, you said there's WashU, SLU, Maryville, and Lindenwood in this general region, and there's a citizens group in St. Louis,
Mhm.
and eBuddies is everywhere, all over the
Yes.
US. Okay,
Correct.
that's great. Thank you so much. Okay, a few other questions have come in. Someone wants to know if you pair by gender, or is that like optional? Can people specify if they want that?
That's a preference. So when the chapter sends out those matching surveys, that's usually a question, or maybe they're interviewing and asking that question, do you have a gender preference? So that's all taken into consideration.
Someone said if you don't end up being a good match with your pairing, what does the rematch process look like so no feelings are hurt in the process?
Yes, that's another great question. And I do want to add a little bit to that. My last answer, depending on the chapter, they may have, more female, students than male participants. And perhaps there's more females that are interested in being in a one-to-one match than there are males. And I'm just that's not to say that that's the makeup, but just keeping that in mind. I do know that a lot of our college chapters are a little bit heavier on female students than male students. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then if the match is not going well, like Holland mentioned, Annadelle, SLU's great with us. All of our college chapters are really great. It just needs to be communicated. So they're going to be checking in with the buddy pairs. But if something is it's just not jiving, then we really want people to feel comfortable, going to those student leaders and letting them know, because the thing that we really don't want to happen is at the end of the school year, then maybe we receive a survey or an email that says my buddy never reached out, or something like that, which rarely happens. But in order for us to, ensure that it's going well, we need to know those things as they're happening. So, and it doesn't mean that anyone's feelings have to be hurt. Sometimes, people the match just doesn't work. And that happens with friends too, like sometimes it's just not working. So you just go a different direction, and that's okay.
Okay, so someone had a question for Holland. So for the students that are involved in your chapter, what brings those students to Best Buddies? Do some of them have a tie to disability, wanting to make new friends? What would you say most of your students kind of why they find Best Buddies?
So, yeah, it's kind of all of the above. I myself was not connected with Best Buddies in undergraduate. I've always heard about it. I did a similar program, and I've always had a big heart for just advocacy for individuals with disabilities. And that kind of is what drew me here into Best Buddies. I know other students and a lot of other members had experience in their high school chapters, and they wanted to continue that on in college. And then others just like heard about it from their friends and were like, oh, wow, this sounds amazing. Why not? But I think a lot of people, it is a very well-known organization. I think a lot of people had some familiarity with it at least. And yeah, I think, I guess just a general nature or desire to advocate, I think is what draws a lot of our students in.
Okay, another question. So someone a parent said, so what if my son develops a crush on female chapter members? How would students manage boundaries with their buddies so that it's clear this is a friendship, not anything more than that.
That's a great question. I know boundaries are something that we talk a lot with our student leaders on reinforcing with their students that are in the chapter. We do have some disability awareness, education too. So I think, Holland has done a really great job of talking to her chapter members about boundaries and just being very upfront. Like, this is a friendship, and that's what it is. Holland, do you want to add?
I think you kind of got it all, Jocelyn. I think that yeah, it's really about communication. Like we obviously communicate to our members that there's not supposed to be any romantic involvement. And obviously we will try and smooth that over.
Yeah, communication and clarifying things is always a great policy. Okay, another question. Do students get any sort of training related to IDD diagnosis? Or are there any, like, what are the requirements of being a buddy for students?
So, our requirement is kind of the program guidelines that we went through. So, like, those are the expectations, that the communication and the hangouts. We do have disability awareness topics that, our peer buddies a lot of times will go through a buddy training at the beginning of the year. We also have some really great ambassadors throughout Best Buddies Missouri who will come and talk on different disability awareness topics. I know WashU did a really fun spread the word. There's a spread the word campaign. So I think those advocacy pieces too are kind of interweaved throughout the year and are also, really important pieces to the Best Buddies chapters too.
I think that whenever I first joined, I did like a webinar or something and I got certified. I have a certificate. I cannot recall what it says on it, but I know I had to do some training. And I'm pretty sure all the officers have to do some form of training. But yes, there is lots of opportunities for disability awareness, disability advocacy, and just, promoting the message of Best Buddies International and, fostering an inclusive space.
Great. Sounds like you get to learn alongside each other quite a bit. So that's
Yeah, and we do offer leadership trainings throughout the year for all of our student leaders. So they have all of those trainings that then they can take back to their chapters too. So
awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so another one, if one of the participants might have any personal care needs, would they need to bring a staff or a parent or someone else with them, since the student isn't a staff?
Yes,
Yeah.
another
Okay.
great question. So keep in mind that these are the intention is for a friendship. So this is not a personal care relationship. So yes, if you have, needs for ADL assistance, then please bring those individuals along. They're more than welcome to come to chapter events and hang out, or buddy hangouts, whatever they need to do.
The last question was, do you have any fundraisers or do you participate in any community outreach events, things like that? Are there ways that the community can support you or get the word out?
Oh, I love that question too. Yes, actually, we have our friendship walk for Best Buddies Missouri here in St. Louis. Last couple of years, we've had 900 students, community members, family members join us. I always like to tell people it's a lot of fun and a little walk because it's literally around the little pond there at Kirkwood Park. It's maybe a quarter of a mile. It's not like a 5K or a walk run or anything like that a lot of organizations do. But we have some really great community partner vendors. A lot of our high school and colleges will be running activity stations. We'll have the Ice Shack truck there for ice cream and snow cones. We've got Raising Cane's coming, Texas Roadhouse. So It's a lot of fun, and it's a really cool just community event. So that's going on. You can find that. Best Buddies hosts over 80 friendship walks across the country. So every state kind of does theirs regionally. So this is our Missouri one here in St. Louis. And additionally, we have community kind of events throughout the year too. We just did a buddy ball at the Magic House in March. And that was for all of our St. Louis community. We had a DJ, the whole Magic House was open for everyone to enjoy. I think it was a $5 ticket. So we definitely want to find more ways to connect the community, because we've got students that are in kindergarten participating in Best Buddies, and we have all the way through adulthood participating. So it is a really cool community to be a part of.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn and Holland, for being panelists. We appreciated all the information that you shared, and it was so fun to talk about friendship. And we're just coming into a really great season for activities in St. Louis. So very excited to see what you all do this year.